This is I feel like every year it's just like deja vu. We Sixers fans, you have to complain about the same old thing. You kind of say Tejas the symbolism for this one here, complaining about contracts per player's play. But I'm curious to hear where Teja goes with this one. But there's a big divide right now with Sixers fans concerning the play of Paul George. I think I made a comment the other day saying calling him passive P because it seems like he's not being, taking over games when like Maxi's not doing his thing or Embiid was not playing. But a lot of fans are saying pretty much quotations, this is what we paid for. He's not scoring enough. He's Tobias part 2. This is why I never wanted to sign him, yada, yada, yada. Although now you're seeing people say trade Paul George to get Jimmy Butler because at least we'll have, a year and a half of Jimmy Butler is better than 3.5 more years of Paul George. So a lot of that kind of stuff. But then on the other side of things, fans are saying that, without Paul George, this team has won 2 games without him. So, I mean, like, this is a team that, we've shown we can't really win without Paul George, and he's showing his prowess on defense, and he's impacting the games in more ways than just scoring. But a lot of fans just look at one column in the box score, and that's just scoring and three-point makes. But where do you guys fall between the two groups? Are you saying, Paul George is a waste of money, or are you guys saying Paul George is impacting the game in more ways than just the points per game area on the box score?
I mean, I say what we said when he first signed. That fourth year was tough. Where somebody would, multiple teams I believe would have gave him that, but that fourth year is tough. And that's what you look at right now. You look, and we got 3 more seasons. So, collectively, we felt he would probably be the third option on this team. He's had some unfortunate injuries to start the season. But it does appear that he's aged, maybe not, but the fans that are watching and paying attention, they have a reason for concern moving forward. That's a legitimate concern. That if this is what we're getting now, how is it going to be, moving forward? Or is this just kind of need more time and is going to continue to maybe improve and get better, and he'll kind of get back to the form that to meet the expectations? I don't know. Like we really don't know if we're going to get this version of Paul or version of it. And most people thought.
So where do I fall between the groups? I am not panicking yet, just for the record. I do obviously think there's room for improvement. It's been a weird year for us so far because he's coming on to someone else's team, and we still haven't had a lot of games with them yet. So he seems to be, I think, more comfortable almost when like Embiid's not there, because I think he's more familiar with being the next guy up to shoot the shot. Whereas when Maxey, him and Embiid there, I think that's just going to need more time to get him used to that. And everyone, not just him, right? That's kind of what I was saying. Why I like the Nets game so much, because it was a dominant game, and all 3 of them were there doing well. But I mean, yeah, if you look at his stats, they're down across the board. Lowest shot attempts per game in 12 years, lowest field goal percentage since 2015, lowest 3-point percentage since his rookie season, which is now resulting in his lowest points per game since his second year in the league. His steals are the highest in the last 4 years. Blocks are about where they've been. I think once he gets more experience with the lineup and he'll get more adjusted, more comfortable, I think he'll be less passive, to go to your point, Marcus. I think he'll take some more shots when everyone's around, not just take the shots when we're missing one of our big guys. I think his percentages will level out a bit. We have a whole career of that. He's not going to just lose, 7 percentage points from one year to the next. Like that's a crazy fall off. So I do think that will level out. I think if that levels out, you'll see his points per game rise a bit. But it's interesting if you look at the lineups where he's excelled and where he hasn't. So his best lineup is his highest, points at least. If we're talking about we're going to the point obsessed people. Just his highest points would be Embiid, George, Martin, Maxey, Yabusele. Next would be Embiid, George, Martin, Maxey, Oubre. He does have some negatives with some of the Embiid lineups too. But then the third highest scoring one is George, Martin, Maxey, Oubre, and Yabusele. So that's an Embiid-less lineup, and he's plus 25 in points per net 100 possessions. So it's interesting to see some of his. He's got some lower scoring lineups with Embiid, some lower scoring lineups without Embiid. It'll be it's interesting. I just need more time. I can't. I don't think it's what anyone expected, but we're not what we expected as a team. So it's not like George is our problem right now. We've had a lot more problems this season. I don't think George can help mask that, but I'm going to definitely give him more time because that's what we have with him. We have 3 more years after this. So
what do you guys make of the fans who want us to trade Paul? I mean, obviously it's not going to happen, but the Paul George or Jimmy Butler thing. I mean, what do you guys make of that? I mean, if it was a either or kind of situation, do you think Jimmy Butler would be fit better than Paul George in this team?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, the fact that he's been familiar with Joel, like, I don't know. Jimmy comes with some other stuff that could, we don't know if he'll mesh well with Maxey. So that's my concern with that. Like, I don't know. I don't see how that. I can see some issues there. Not because of talent, just because I just from a chemistry standpoint, I don't know. I just don't know what you'll get outside of Joel in their relationship.
I can pose another question too with that. If you put go ahead, sorry.
You'll see. I mean, I'm gonna say as far as Paul, I think more time. I said when you say you got to give Paul more time, I think you can say that if the expectations weren't championship, but they are. I think that's the problem. It's not just the expectations that are on Paul individually, but it's also the expectations that are put on the team.
Yeah.
Before he even showed up, and then especially once he showed up. So I don't know how give him time. We're already in January.
Yep. Well, let me ask you a question, Eric. If you put, I know it's a hypothetical, but if you put Butler on this current team and same exact record, we're struggling all the same, I don't think things would be sunshine and rainbows right now either with him. Do you think, people would be asking, why do we trade for Butler then? If it was the same exact situation, but with Butler instead of Paul George.
Yeah, I mean, it could be the same thing. That's why I say the issue. I think the issue when you talk about Paul and Jimmy right now is their deals are different. That's I think when it comes down to Paul, everybody's talking about if this is what you're getting now, we still got 3 more years. So that's sort of the issue with Jimmy's people what you're getting, and it's a shorter deal. So let's take a chance. We already got this guy. Can it get worse? Most people probably feel it may stay stagnant. It may stay where it's at. So people that have said something to me as far as wanting Jimmy, that's kind of been their thing. The deal, and they felt he could be more of a better third option than Paul, where they felt Paul could be a better 1-2 option. And I thought that was a legit situation, but we don't know what Jimmy we're going to get. That's my issue.
And doesn't Jimmy want a new deal
Not as
anyway?
far as talent, but as far as locker room, we don't. Everywhere he's gone, everywhere he's been, especially towards the end of his deal.
Doesn't Jimmy want a new deal anyway, though? That was part of the problem that he started with the Miami, is that they didn't give him a new deal.
That is what Windhorst reported. Yeah.
Yeah, but wouldn't it be the same deal in Philly? If they don't give him,
he probably wants Paul George's deal. Is what he wants.
I'm sure he does. I mean, he's there right now, but he just broke the extra years. I mean, do you trust to give him the 3 more years? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know.
How much how long of a leash do you give him? Obviously, he had these 2 injuries, the hyperextensions, right? He had the first one right before the season, then he had the one a couple weeks later. How long, like, will you say his shooting struggles can be attributed to the kind of the early start of the injuries, and how long of a leash would you give him to kind of recover from the injuries that he's had, or do you think he should be at this point right now? He should be all healed and 100% at this point.
Man, I am about injuries. Like, we don't know. Like, everybody's body is different. Like, we really don't know how to assess. But I think when you can come out and then one game you can have 30 and the other one you go 5 for 19 or 18. I think what most people would want is some level of consistency, whatever that may be. If you're going 15 points, give us 15 points. You're going to be 18, then give us 18. But I think the unfortunate thing for Paul is he is running into and came into the same situation that he made. And they're looking at you and saying, you make this amount of money and this is what the expectations are. But when you give people the money, you give them the money based on who they are. But I don't know how you can give them that money and then we expecting Paul to increase his play how it usually goes in the league. So it's not like he has a decreasing contract. He has am I right, Teja? He has an increasing contract, correct?
Yeah, it's going out.
Yeah, so if you have an increasing contract and your play is decreasing, that's been the issue, and that's the biggest concern.
Yeah.
Based on what you're seeing right now. So we can say it's injuries, and it very well may be, but that if he no longer gets an injury, you can't really, you can't give him, you're out there. As soon or later, people are going to say, well, you're out there, then, no more excuses. If you're injured, then sit out. But if you're out there, and then when things are going to go well, say, well, I play hurt. A lot of guys play injured. But like I said, when Paul came in, the team has expectations in this hopefully they both can be met. And for his sake, the individual one can be met.
Yeah. I mean, scoring 6 points less than last year, that's a lot. I'm sure he's not happy with that either. So it's a big difference.
Yeah, especially from a fan base that was running Tobias out of town for doing very similar kind of stuff. So this is sure some of those folks who wanted to point blame at Tobias, they've got their.
That's why I said that, but that's the part that I'm saying. Like, not only is he basically doing what Tobias did, and guys like Teja don't like that.
Yeah. I mean, God, no Sixer fan should like him averaging 16 a game. I mean, even if we got him for a bargain, I wouldn't be happy with it because it's not an efficient 16. It's a terrible 16.
So say for instance, we kept with Detroit. What else could you have gotten with that?
You're saying if we signed Tobias to the deal he got in Detroit?
Yeah. Yes. What else could we have gotten with that?
20 he signed. So
like how much space would have been left if we did that?
26 a year. So that would have gave us 26 more million to spend. We could have gotten maybe two more guys at the 13, 14 level, or at least one guy, with like 18, 19 per season. Yeah. Let me see.
Could we have gotten KCP or no?
Yeah. Let's see, 26. Yeah, he could have had who got signed this year out of this group. DeRozan signed for 23 as an example. KCP 22. Yeah, or you could have just traded for a lot of guys too who make around that amount. If you look at the guys who make around 26, you could have had a lot of guys out there.
Okay, that's all I was asking. I didn't know how much Tobias is.
He's making about half of what Paul George is making.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Well, I love that Teja embodies a whole sect of the Sixers fan base. Teja, you are that second group of Sixers fans. All right, so
I'm saying give him more time though. So I mean, we put up with what 5 years of Tobias doing that.
Yeah,
let's give Paul George more than 25 games, or
Yeah, well, trade deadline's in a month from now. So I'm not saying we're going to trade him, but I'm saying I'm very curious to see what Morey wants to do. I think there was a report earlier. I think Windhorst said that Morey is going to be very, very active making calls around the trade deadline. So we'll see what they think we need to fill to help boost Paul George's numbers.
Now, if we were going to revisit all these options before we actually made the move, one of the other guys we were comparing him to who makes about 16 less than him is Brandon Ingram, who's also dealing with a lot of injuries this year, but who is playing really well when he was healthy. So that was the other guy who was also younger, is going to be a better deal in 4 years from now. Knowing what you know right now, Eric, would you want to go back and have Brandon Ingram instead?
I would trade him for Brandon Ingram. Yes, I would.